Awesome. I think we are ready to get started. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of our Off the Chain Twitter Spaces. Today, we have a really exciting group joining us today. Today's going to be all about Web3 music, reshaping music, empowering struggling music artists. We have an incredible guest lineup. I'll run through them very quickly. We have Joe Mason, who's the head of artist services at Opulous. We have Marcus, who is the COO at LimeWire. Snarky, who is the founder of Itoka.xyz. Tommy D, who is the originator and chief creative officer at TokenTraxx. We have Ivan Linn, who is the CEO at Wavv. Charles Cheng, who is the co-founder of Euterpe. We have Leo Wang, who is the CEO at Hibiki Run. We have Billy Coleman III, who is the mix engineer and artist at Wavv. We have Mure, who is an artist at Wavv. And we have Jessica Meng, who is an artist at Wavv. So super excited. We'll give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. But as always, before we begin, we do have to run through a little bit of our disclaimer. So the information provided is for general informational purposes only. All information is provided in good faith. However, we make no representation or warranty of any kind, expressed or implied, regarding the accuracy, adequacy, validity, reliability, availability, or completeness of such information. The statements or opinions expressed in this event are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of Bitmart or its affiliates and shall not be considered professional financial investment advice. All crypto investments are highly speculative in nature and involve substantial risk of loss. Past hypothetical or simulated performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. The value of digital currencies can go up or down, and there can be a substantial risk in buying, selling, holding, or trading digital currencies. You should carefully consider whether trading or holding digital currencies is suitable for you based on your personal investment objectives, financial circumstances, and risk tolerance. Awesome. So, super excited for our incredible guest lineup today. I'll just run through I'll just go person by person, speaker by speaker, and if you could just give us a brief introduction about yourself and about your company or your project. So let's start off with Joe Mason, who is the head of artist services at Opulous.
Hey everyone, good to be here. My name's Joe. I'm head of artist services at Opulous. Opulous is a music investment platform where individuals around the world can, share in the royalties of music with the artists themselves. And we tokenize the sort of shares of the music in these things called MFTs, music fungible tokens. My role in the team is sort of the middleman between the artists that we work with and the rest of the team at Opulous, bringing in artists to do deals with us and kind of being the main point of communication. Great to be here. Good
Awesome.
to see so many people.
Big fan of the Opulous team, one of the biggest projects on Algorand, so really excited to learn more about what you guys are working on.
For sure.
Would love to pass it over to Marcus, who's the COO at LimeWire, and hear a little bit about an introduction about yourself and about what you guys are working on at LimeWire, one of the oldest names in the space.
Sure. Happy to. Thanks for having us, actually. So as you just said, I'm Marcus, Chief Operating Officer at LimeWire. I hope a lot of you guys are familiar with LimeWire as a brand, as a platform as such. For those of you who are not, pretty much used to be one of the biggest peer-to-peer file sharing platforms of the early 2000s. Think of like music downloads in the early internet days, one of the main players. The initial LimeWire peer-to-peer file sharing platform shut down in 2011. And we came together as a group of, I myself have a pretty strong background in the Web3 space, in the crypto space.
I think we might have lost you a bit there.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear him. I didn't lose him.
There you go.
Loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll just continue then. So we just came together as pretty much a team of, I would say one half of the team is crypto natives, like myself, and the other half really software developers that already did a couple of exits in the software as a service space, and had the idea of relaunching the LimeWire brand, now taking it to the Web3 space, acquired all the assets around it, domain, social media accounts, trademarks. We're really lucky to get hold of it, and launched last year as an NFT marketplace for music artists, and evolved now to almost a social media platform for any type of creator that wants to enter the Web3 space. So yeah, LimeWire is back, and happy to take the space today.
LimeWire is back. I love it. Yeah, appreciate the all the context there in the background, which I think is super fascinating about how you guys were able to kind of bring this brand back to life. So excited to learn more there. Would love to throw it over to Snarky, who is the co-founder of Itoka. Can you give us just a brief introduction about yourself and what you guys are working on? Looks like we might not have Snarky yet, so we'll come back to him. Let's throw it over to Tommy D, Chief Creative Officer at TokenTraxx.
What's up, everybody? Hi, guys. Thanks very much for hosting this space, and thanks very much for inviting me across. My name is Tommy D. I'm a music producer and a songwriter, a DJ, an artist. I am also a whiskey maker, and I'm also now a tech entrepreneur. I've been in the music business for over 30 years. I've sold billions and billions of records and billions of streams. I work with everybody from Kylie Minogue to Kanye West. And I got into Web3 in 2016, and in 2019, I discovered NFTs, and that was the point where I went, right, this is something I need to work with. 2020, as a consequence to COVID, I founded TokenTraxx. TokenTraxx is a music company which uses Web3 industry. We look at all the problems of the music industry, of which there are many, and we look at how Web3 tools can innovate and improve that situation. TokenTraxx has a number of leading products. We have a Web3 advisory service. We have a marketplace which is fully functional, has drops on it all the time. We just dropped a couple yesterday. But our principal product is the TraxX Studio. The TraxX Studio is a fully decentralized, fully customizable marketplace that you own, you control, and you have. And I'm very excited to answer a bunch of questions, of which there are a lot about the music industry here today.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds like you definitely have an incredible background. So excited to learn more about what you guys are working on at TokenTraxx. Yeah, I would love to pass it over to Ivan, who is the CEO at Wavv. And yeah, if you could just give us tell us how to pronounce it first, and then would love to hear more about what you guys are working on.
Great. Thank you, guys. This is Ivan from Wavv. I started my career pretty much as a musician and music producer myself as well. At some point, I started to be part of video gaming industry. It was around 12, 13 years ago. Co-produced soundtracks including Final Fantasy, Legend of Zelda, Kingdom Hearts. More recently became the music director of Assassin's Creed. Well, worth mentioning, Assassin's Creed this year, around 4 or 5 months ago, has won a Grammy for the first time, and it's probably the first video game to have won this category, because Recording Academy actually added the new interactive media and original video game soundtrack this year, since its foundation 63 years ago, and Assassin's Creed became the first game to have won this major music award. And during this time, I also created a Wavv, which is like a music platform and protocol that empowers artists by providing a peer-to-peer transactions, so that musicians and artists will be able to focus on what they're good at, which is creating great music without going through so much of negotiations, contract, and business, because we all know that music production, music distribution, these are the two major steps for the world of music. So we created Wavv in order to give a much friendlier space for creators and musicians to empower them. And more recently, actually last week and 2 weeks ago, there was Tech Week in San Francisco and in Los Angeles. We also announced and revealed the latest Music GPT. It's a feature and a fun tool where you give prompt and the AI generates music under 15 seconds. And we were also honored to have a bit more part of our reveal event and debut in Beverly Hills and San Francisco last week. So looking forward to sharing more insight about what's going on in music and also future of music. Thank you.
Super interesting to hear about your background. And yeah, I definitely think this is kind of like the ultimate culmination between gaming and music, and so many. You're starting to see so many similarities in a lot of the ownership aspects in this kind of Web3 intersection. So definitely excited to learn more about what you guys are working on at Wavv. Would love to pass it on to Charles, the co-founder of Euterpe, and just learn more about yourself and what you guys are working on.
Yep, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Charles. I'm the co-founder of Euterpe. I'm also serving as an advising expert at Alumni Ventures Group and a member of Stanford Angels and Entrepreneurs. I graduated from Stanford Law School. I previously worked as a partner at Amino Capital in Silicon Valley. So I got my first touch with the blockchain industry around 2017. So Euterpe is the world's first IP NFT as a service platform. It's a marketplace where the copyright owners and creators can auction their copyrights by issuing NFTs. Copyright investors can invest in IP NFTs by participating in the auctions and secondary market trading. Euterpe also will automatically distribute royalty income to the NFT holders through smart contracts. So investors can also resell the NFTs on our secondary market or other NFT marketplace. So fans can directly support their favorite artists and works and earn tokens by streaming, promoting, and voting. So we start with music, and we are expanding into other copyright and creative fields, for example, like film and movie industries. So I'm very glad to be here and would like to share my insights with everyone and have fruitful discussions here. Thank you.
Awesome. Would love to pass it over to Leo Wang, who is the CEO at Hibiki Run. And, Hibiki Run has been gracious enough to kind of co-host this event with us. So, first appreciate you guys, hosting this, this awesome Twitter space with us, but would also love to give you the opportunity to tell us about your background, Leo, and then also tell us about Hibiki Run and what you guys are working on.
Thank you. Hey, folks, Leo from Hibiki Run. Pleasure to be here. My background is a bit tech background. I graduated from Canada, University of Toronto. And I started Hibiki Run projects along with a couple other co-founders since last year, January. And we're now a team of 16 people across different regions in Canada, UK, and Japan. Hibiki Run, what we promote ourselves as a gateway to the future music streaming and digital collectibles. We are actually the first Web3 application offering the music discovery experience, and as well as we blending the gaming excitement and crypto incentive through our listen to earn model. Now our global team, we have deep connections to over 1,500 local artists in Japan. And the unique selling point or unique features on our app beyond the streaming is our gachapon machine, which is kind of very popular in Japan local. We digitalize that and reimagines the music, and we help package the music content as for distribution in this Ruffle gachapon machine. and that engages 85,000 plus users with native game assets and exclusive offering. So what we do in Hibiki Run is we help package the contents into game assets, and we do this kind of gamified distributions when people listen to music and play the Ruffle machine. And yeah, I hope everybody have a chance to take a look, and really glad that Bitmart to co-host this event with Bitmart and Meta Era. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for co-hosting this this incredible Web3 music AMA with us. So appreciate you guys. Next, would love to pass it off to Billy, who is a mix engineer and artist at Wavv. Please just give us a quick intro on yourself and tell us more about what you're working on at Wavv.
Thank you. I'm Billy Coleman III. I'm a full stack music producer and a publisher. I produce records I can take a record from an idea and process it into a sound recording. It's pretty much the whole stack. I'm utilizing Wavv to distribute music in the form of NFTs, which would incentivize my fan connection. As you know, artists relates to fans. And they offer a direct to consumer approach to distributing music. And that's my role at Wavv, to provide the music that people will be consuming.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely really incredible to get kind of a little bit of look at the artists themselves and hear more. So excited to hear more about how how you're working with Wavv and how it's able to allow you to connect better to your fans. Would love to pass it off to Mure, who is also an artist at Wavv. Again, we'd just love a brief intro about yourself and what you're working on at Wavv.
Hello, thanks for having me. My name is Eric. I'm a composer and guitarist from Barcelona. And I played like different genres. Like I used to work with different singers, bands, or doing soundtracks for cinema. I'm going from rock, metal, rap, or just different genres. I used to adapt to the artist I work. Also, I've been event organization in Spain for my own concerts and other artists, and I used to be my own manager. And now I have a project with a singer that we've been the last 2 years working in SF and LA. So we have the intention of keep moving to California to work. And also that's how I meet with Ivan and all the Wavv team. And that's how I found all the NFT resources for growing my career.
Awesome. And lastly, would love to pass it off to Jessica Meng, who's also an artist at Wavv. Again, just a brief introduction about yourself and about your company and project.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, my name is Jessica. I am a 19-year-old singer-songwriter currently living in New York. I grew up between Shanghai, Paris, and California, and right now I'm a full-time student at Cornell University. But I've been very passionate about music and composing since I was about 10 years old. I recently released my first two-part single called Ghost Town and Ghost Town Part 2, both on streaming platforms as well as on Wavv, and Bitmart and like selling my music as NFTs is something new that I'm exploring. And I came across this opportunity because I met Ivan in Hong Kong, and I was introduced to this opportunity over winter break last year. So yeah, I'm seeing where it goes.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate everybody's answers and giving me and the audience some really good context on what you guys are working on and building. So appreciate that. So just to kind of shift gears just a little bit, there are a lot of very explicit challenges that music artists face in their careers. So I'm curious on your guys' take on how you guys see Web3 technology and how we can integrate that into music NFTs, and how these fix some of these roadblocks for artists in terms of ownership, monetization, creative control. So just overall, how Web3 really changes the kind of music landscape. Um, let's start with Billy from Wavv. What are your thoughts on how Web3 kind of impacts kind of the music NFT space?
Thank you. So I can give you my point of view as an independent artist. Here's some key points that, well, I say key challenges that, I as an independent artist have faced, and I'm sure, I can speak for many others. One challenge that we face is financial uncertainty in our pursuit. You know, uh, Many artists struggle with inconsistent income, and, this can be due to the structure of payment in the music industry. The way it is, artists, they often own a small portion of the revenue from their sales and streaming due to the contracts that they have with labels and or distribution platforms. Another challenge we face is, the lack of ownership and control over our records after we've, handed them off. We often surrender a significant amount of control over our records to, music labels and other intermediaries. And this can include decisions about where the music is distributed and marketed, all the way down to how the cover art should look. Things that should be subjective to the artist and, in control of the artist. Um, we often experience limited direct fan engagement. And what I mean by that is with the traditional music distribution models, they often place several layers of intermediaries between artists and their fans, which makes us have to work a little bit harder for people to see us. And how I see Web3 technology and music NFTs or non-fungible tokens addressing these kind of challenges, this would allow us to, have more ownership over our records and therefore more of a pot in the monetization end of things. So with NFTs, artists can tokenize their music and sell it directly to their fans, which means they have the ability to retain full ownership of the work and, potentially earn more money from the music because there's less hands in the pot at that point. And the direct to consumer model, I believe it has the ability to provide a more predictable income stream because it's just less hands. There's less transactions going on when it comes to the music leaving the artist and reaching the fan. We have more creative control through the use of this kind of technology, I believe, because by tokenizing music, artists, we can maintain full creative control over our work because we have more of a say so in how it's distributed, how many copies are available, and we could even, because of smart contracts and their capabilities, we could add conditions to the tokens to earn royalties even from secondary sales. So, you know, that'll be a plus. We'd have more direct fan engagement. Web3 technologies, they allow for direct peer-to-peer interactions, which in theory removes the need for certain intermediaries. This can lead to more meaningful engagement between artists and our fans. Artists can offer, such as myself, can offer unique experiences and rewards to our fans through tokenized assets, which it deepens our connection because it makes things a bit more interpersonal. And most importantly, I believe Web3 technology would enhance the way we keep records of music as it's distributed. It would offer, a permanent and immutable record because the blockchain provides such a capability, which would aid toward transparency when it comes to ownership over records and things of that nature. It would be clear and evident to all blockchain users who owns what record. That wouldn't be like a gray area like it can be right now, which this can help protect our rights as artists and potentially eliminate disputes over royalties and ownership, things that we see a lot of battles these days about such things. And that's pretty much my take on where I see Web3 benefiting me and pretty much artists at large, independent and signed, because I'm sure labels can, they can adopt these technologies as well.
Yeah, I think you brought up a bunch of incredible points, and I think like kind of the way that I would kind of see the like summarization is like, and it's the same thing we're seeing kind of across the board, which is that cutting out middlemen, increasing the incentivization mechanisms, having more value flow through the chain from from users to consumers or from builders to consumers. And so I think
Certainly.
that's just like a general theme that we've been seeing throughout the space, and I think that like kind of perfectly culminates exactly how it's happening in kind of the in kind of the music space specifically. So yeah, appreciate the thought and the context there. Yeah, would love to get another artist perspective and pass it over to Mure and kind of get your idea on maybe from again from another artist perspective, like what are the challenges that music artists are currently facing, and how do Web3 technologies and NFTs address these roadblocks so that artists get better ownership, monetization, creative control?
Thank you. I totally agree with Billy in the point that NFT are a big opportunity for artists to have a little control about their own music, because normally when you work, it's difficult to make understand the people you are working with, labels, managers, or whatever, about the meaning or the value you have in your piece, like your song or your picture or whatever. Like it's a value that mostly you only know and value as much. And sometimes with the labels and managers, that's a big distance between all of this, but also you need them for getting their resources. So for ownership, also it's always been a problem that. So I see in NFTs the opportunity to connect with also the fans in a way that it's not, I don't think it's focused on typical popular trendy music that has made to become famous. Like I think it will give more opportunities and importance to unique music and also concept albums, because it will be different. Like it's more inclusive. It can help for fans experience, so you can sense live performance to that NFT. So giving the opportunity to win tickets or experience related to the art. So I think it's a great tool that if it's in hands of artists, can be very great for the future.
Yeah, it's really great for the audience and I to be able to get kind of the artist perspective. So yeah, really appreciate the context there. And yeah, would love to pass it over to Jessica and kind of get your take on the same thing, right? Like, what are the challenges that you see music artists and maybe newer artists facing, and how do you kind of see Web3 tech, address some of these roadblocks?
Yeah, so I would say some of the challenges that music artists currently face in our careers is that we don't necessarily know where to begin in terms of building a brand, because with the advancement of technology, obviously there are so many new ways to get your music out to the public, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Spotify. But with something like NFTs and with something like Wavv, or the integration of general Web3 technologies and the utilization of music NFTs, can definitely address these roadblocks, because it adds a very innovative method for an aspect of personalization. For example, by selling your NFTs, you can add certain perks like join an artist's Discord or Telegram, or Wavv online events access, meet and greet, live broadcasting, or artist autographs, potential to purchase VIP tickets with discounts for future offline concerts. I think there's just a lot of potential in terms of creating a more personal relationship between the artist and the audience, like the previous artists have mentioned as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you got a really good point about tooling, right? It makes it much easier for artists to utilize all of the benefits and having that infrastructure in place that really unlocks all the things that artists are able to do with their music and connect with their fan bases. Would love to pass it over to Tommy from TokenTraxx, and someone who's just incredibly experienced and has been in the music industry for so long and has seen so much success. Like, what makes you so what are some of the, I guess, specific challenges that you see artists that you work with face in their careers, and how do you kind of see, and what makes you so bullish on Web3 technologies as kind of a tool to solve a lot of these issues?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I've been in the music industry for a long time, and I've made a lot of money out of the music industry, the traditional music industry as it stands. The system that we have at the moment is based on a number of different concepts that started with sheet music. The basic concept of the music industry is it's a rights business, which is that I create music, someone else finds it, and someone else loves it. We call them the 3 Cs: creators, curators, and collectors. Now, the 3 Cs are the ecosystem by which all music is created and shared and loved. Now, the system we have in place at the moment is just one system. It's just one system that happens to have grown up over the last 100 years, started with sheet music, went through vinyl, went through cassette, through CD, through paid digital, and now we have streaming digital. It's the same music. If you listen to Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, it is the same piece of music. It's just different concepts of how that music gets to you. It's important to understand that the music business is based on 2 different concepts. One is listening to music, so we call that the usage of music. And the other one is the engagement of music, which is things like gigs or merchandise or experiences, things that people actually actively get involved with that's more than just the listening of music. I think the listening of music at the moment is very, very well served. I can be in a nightclub and I can Shazam a track. I can send it to you halfway around the world. You can listen to it for free straight away. You can share it with another friend of yours another way halfway around the world, and he can listen to it or she can listen to it for free. That is a brilliant system for listening to music. There isn't much wrong with that system, except that it doesn't pay properly. Okay? It doesn't pay properly because the economics of streaming are messed up. The economics of streaming mean, for example, that in 0.7% of the artists on Spotify take 90% of all the revenue. Okay? And that means that a very small percentage of artists take a lot of revenue. The majority of artists on Spotify earn less than $25 a year. Okay, and this is going to get even worse with the advent of AI music and more music being uploaded. So we need to look at a new system, and that new system is what we believe we can build with Web3. And in TokenTraxx, we believe in the concepts of decentralization, which is the idea of taking back control of your own destiny and not having to pander to the likes of third-party platforms or walled gardens, as I like to call them, which insist on you having to jump through hoops in order to get there. We're running away from that with things like Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music. We're running away from that concept. We need a completely new rethink, right? This isn't just about selling a few NFTs and making a little bit of money. No, this is a fucking complete change of direction. We need a whole new music business. TokenTraxx is at the center of that. We are building a new music business.
Wow. Yeah, that was incredibly powerful, and just some really key pieces there that really give you kind of an insider view on kind of the value chain and how Web3 really kind of breaks out of that value chain. And I think you bring up another great point about kind of the impact of AI and the importance of kind of verification and having truly human artists rather than just the proliferation of like AI generation. So yeah, really appreciate the context there. And last, would love to pass it on. I guess I don't think we have Snarky here yet. Yep. So I guess we'll start to move on a little bit. So from the perspective of music fans, which obviously all of us in this room are, how do you guys see the integration of Web3 and music NFTs benefiting from the fan perspective? In what ways do you think the fans and the early adopters will be able to kind of enhance their overall music experience through like Web3 and that will at least convince them to adopt at a higher rate? Let's start off with Marcus.
Sure, happy to take it. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much where we are coming from, right? As a brand, LimeWire, pretty much famous as a consumer brand and a mainstream music technology company almost. And the way we see it, especially coming from a tech perspective, is I believe NFTs and especially Web3 bring a completely new angle for consumers and a completely new way of interacting with artists and art and collectibles as such, because all of a sudden you as a fan pretty much become owner and have this ownability piece of technology that beforehand or on many other platforms are just is just being able to be consumed, right? Because if I go on, let's say, a YouTube, a Spotify, wherever I am, I usually just consume the content. I don't necessarily follow the entire, livelihood or the entire journey of an artist, which changes completely and also creates a much more tight bond between artist, creator, and fan. If I all of a sudden as a fan now become the owner of a piece of it, and I think this is the most interesting bit of Web3 and how it changes also the perspective, I believe, from those fans and those consumers that understand the principle, and where we see a big opportunity for platforms just like ourselves and many other platforms that are trying to take this to the mainstream and bring this element of ownership of NFTs also to consumers and fans. Because I think it almost creates this bond of a fan becoming a shareholder, I would even say, of the artist and following them very early on, being supportive with the artist because they hold a piece of the art that is being created by them. And I think that is just an incredibly new way of move from the Web2 space where I just consume content as a fan towards owning it in the Web3 space, which is really exciting. I think that's probably the biggest element of change. The difficulty, though, is, and that needs to be stressed very clearly, in my opinion, and something we also learned last year, and I think the entire space learned very, very prominently last year, is that this needs to be communicated well, because the mainstream doesn't necessarily have a wallet yet, doesn't necessarily understand what NFTs are, and we need to pretty much communicate those benefits without talking too much in like crypto lingo and too much with buzzwords. But I think the benefits of Web3 and NFTs are just pretty clear if you show it on a platform and show that you can actually own these pieces, trade it with other fans, earn off the back of holding a part of the art. And I think that's just an element which completely changes the game between artist and fan relationship.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that last. It completely changes the way that retail and music fans interact with their music at just kind of the most basic layer. Would also love to get the perspective of Joe from Opulous, and just from the perspective of music fans, how do you kind of see the integration of Web3, kind of enhance their overall music experience?
I think it's a really exciting time for fans. One of the things that, kind of just to put it in simple terms, is imagine discovering an artist early on in their career, and you want to help support that artist. You want to help them, become a much bigger artist and create more music so that you can listen to more music in the future. But a lot of emerging artists might struggle to have the finances to kind of create music, release music, level up the music in terms of production and all of that kind of thing. So up until now, one of the main ways that artists get that investment is by signing away their rights to a label and, getting the investment from a label, but not necessarily having the autonomy that you may have had if you were independent. So I think from a fan perspective, you feel like, you're enabling these emerging artists who you might, discover and be big fans of, to become, much bigger artists in the future. And then on top of that, not only are you helping to enable that, but you're then going to reap the benefits financially from that, from your investment. So at Opulous, for example, there's just some subtle things, like for those on this call who have worked in the music industry as well, there's no better feeling than, being in an Uber on the way to an event and they're listening to the radio in the car and, a song that you're working on at the moment is being played in the car. And through tools like these, you'll be on the way to an event listening to a song in the car, and you'll be earning 1% of that song through the means of a lot of the companies in this call. So from a sort of fan perspective, just even feeling like you're earning from songs that are being played in sort of situations that you find yourself in. You know, you could be in a club, you could be in a shop walking around, or even just someone listening to the song out of, you know, on their Spotify or whatever. So there's kind of just that element of, you know, satisfaction you get from feeling like you own a small piece of something cool, you know. So there's just some ideas that I have about how I think fans will, you know, gain benefits from all of these technologies.
Yeah, I think you bring up a lot of really great, you know, kind of applicable real world examples. Yeah, appreciate all the insight there. Would love to pass it off to Charles from Euterpe. And same thing, right? Like, you know, how do you see kind of Web3 technologies actually enhancing the music experience from the fan perspective?
Yeah, sure. I think Web3 can definitely bring the fans with a revolutionized experience in the music industry. For example, like there are traditionally many layers of middlemen between the end users and the creators, right? So we did some calculation that usually there's like for every $1 spent by the fans, only around 15 cents end up in the pockets of the creators. So with Web3 solutions or blockchain solutions, if we can link the creators, the artists and musicians directly to the fans, we can definitely help the fans to directly support their favorite creators. And also in the conventional platforms, actually the fans are often merely like passive consumers, right? You basically just make the payment, be a subscriber, and that's it. But for the time spent, for the network you used, and also for your taste, right? Whatever you contributed to the copyright industry or to the music, as a fans, you don't really have any rewards. But if we can utilize token economy, basically we can design many ways for the fans to get rewards based on their contributions to the creative communities. For example, we can allow the fans to earn tokens by streaming some like trending or rising stars, right? To support the new artist, and we can reward them based on their time spent on the platform, on the creative works. And also we can allow the fans to earn tokens by promoting music, right? Many of the new artists actually cannot get enough support from the centralized platform, for example, YouTube or Apple Music, or that is always difficult for the young musicians to get enough support from those platforms. But if we can make rewards available for the fans, we can mobilize the fans to support those artists, and also make the fans have opportunity to earn tokens based on how they utilize their personal network, and make that a new way for promotion. And also we can design some ways of some like gaming or like voting, right? Voting system. We can mobilize the fans to vote for their favorite artist, to find out the future rising star, future superstar, and we can reward the fans with their taste, right? If the fans can help us to figure out who will be the next superstar, they definitely should get some like rewards, right? Because they are helping the whole ecosystem. So basically, I think with the token economy, we have a lot of ways to give back to the fans and create a more friendly ecosystem for the fans, and also is a new ecosystem to make the fans and artists to align their interest in this brand new community. Yes, I think there's many ways for the fans to be benefit from the Web3 ecosystem. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the way how you framed it as like the community aspect. So it's like, you know, getting rewards based on their contribution to this community, and this community is actually centered around kind of the artist or the music itself. So yeah, I really enjoy that framing, and I'm sure the audience did as well. Would love to pass it over to Leo.
Can I? Oh, sorry. I was just going to jump in and make a point about community. Is that okay?
Please do.
I mean, the point is that music has always had community. You know, I just come back from a non-fungible conference in Lisbon, and I was reminded how, you know, the community, we call it utility community, all these words that we use in Web3. The community aspect of music has always been there from day one. You perform to people. Those people enjoy what you do. They enjoy what you do. Now, some of them enjoy it more than others. Those people might want to come back after the gig and, you know, maybe get a selfie or get like a signed CD or a signed T-shirt or something like that. You know, those communities it's all about segmentation. How we segment communities at the moment through social media is pretty non-existent, because social media doesn't really give us the tools or the information or the data that allows us to actively go in and segment that community. If I've got 1 billion streams on Spotify, how the hell am I supposed to get to those people? I can't. So really what we're talking about here is how to segment, how to discover and segment and reward fan bases that are already there. They're already there. Artists have a fan base. You might be playing in front of 10 people. You might be playing in front of 10,000. But it doesn't matter. Those fans are always segmented in the same way. There's always a very small percentage of artists that will fans rather, that will want to engage with an artist on a much higher level than the rest.
Yeah, I love that you popped in there, because I think there's a lot of really great insight there. I think, like, you know, there really is no way for I love the use of segmentation, right? There's really no way to segment between, you know, someone that, you know, a fan that potentially listens to your song once a month or once a year or once a quarter, versus you know, someone that you know, listens to your songs, you know, 10 times a day, right? And so that's like 3,000 times a month, or 300 times a month, or, you know, maybe, you know, 3,000 times a year, right? Where they have such a larger impact on the larger flow, and you know, the you know, are more invested in you, and so those people should be able to you know, benefit, whether it's through experiences, or does not necessarily have to be simply monetary, right? It can be through experiences, opportunities, but there's so many more ways to incentivize that as well. So not only just like, you know, giving them something for listening to your music so much, but also incentivizing listening to your music more.
And that's why I'm super bullish on music, because music is already there. You know, as I said, I just come back from LFC in Lisbon, and it was all about art. You don't get that with art. You don't get that kind of engaged community with art. You don't get that engaged community with film or theater or anything else, but you do get that kind of engaging behavior with music. That's why music it may be growing now as a space within Web3, but it is going to absolutely explode because it's already there. You're talking about engaged behavior that is already endemic and right at the heart of the actual art form itself.
Yeah, could not agree more. Yeah, it already has kind of the product market fit. It already has the market there. We just need kind of the tooling in place in order to fulfill what's already there. So, yeah, really appreciate you hopping in there and giving. You know, I think that the audience gets a lot of value out of you know, kind of information like that. So. Yeah, would love to pass it over to Leo from Hibiki Run, and kind of get your same take on you know, this question we've been discussing, which is like, how do you think you know, Web3 technology really enhances the overall music experience from the fan perspective?
Yeah, thank you. And previous speakers already made very good key points that I wanted to share already. Just want to add a couple more of my opinions. Yes, Tom mentioned that I think the way the Web2 platform promote their contents, including music, is quite controversial. Like they promote based on certain algorithm that promotes content that has more likelihood to be promoted. So it's more like what he said, like 5% of the content actually takes away 90% of the platform's traffic, and of course that has impact to the revenue of other artists. I think the Web3 technology and platforms can change that with the music NFT and other form of digital collectibles. Definitely, this is gonna be segments like this be distributed to owners and holders or their own community help promote their contents and artists on the platforms. And for Hibiki Run's vision, actually, we are here to promote independent music artists and content in our own raffle machine, what we call the gachapon machine. It's like a gateway between the creator and collectors. I think there's definitely much bigger general audience there playing games while listening to music. So we actually, what we do is help package the contents into game assets, and I think the general audience can receive the game assets and put into their collection while listening to the music. So the point I want to make is, comparing to the Web two, the streaming experience in Web two is definitely already great. We don't really try to do some the groundbreaking technology to in terms of the streaming part, but definitely there's something lacking in the Web two. As the previous speaker mentioned, that the digital ownership. The quick example is that when you purchase a music, for example, from Spotify and you switch to a different platform, say SoundCloud, and there's a chance you don't really get to listen to the music you purchased, and you cannot really do anything about the music other than streaming it over a particular platform. So I think as a Web3 projects, as we all evolve on different blockchains, I think for the near future, the better experience and more options will be explored, such as gamification, user generated contents of music, out of purchase the music, copyright, and I think in future eventually it will all be cross platforms, and the the sense of the ownership that will be definitely enhanced, and will be more respected during Web3. So I think these are all the unique features and our advantages of enhancing music in Web3. Yeah, that's just the things I want to add on to what previous speakers mentioned. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for adding on everything there. I yeah, I couldn't agree more with a lot of the sentiment. Would love to kind of wrap it up with Ivan from Wavv, and as someone who's building kind of a lot of tooling for artists. How do you kind of see these integrations benefiting fans and enhancing their overall music experience?
Right. So, overall, Web3 technology opens up quite many doors for artists and for consumers. And I've been hearing some really helpful and productive pieces of advice and also ideas here. But in general, it's about giving back control to musicians and consumers. Well, just like Tommy D said, a lot of stuff is already there. Like music's there, content is there, materials are there, talents are there. There's fan base, there's community, but it seems that the pipeline and the tools and services are yet to be opened up and improved in order to get the connections, things, and everything going. But Web3 definitely opens up opportunities, like in terms of the music creativities. We've been talking about, like we've been seeing a lot successful examples that so co-creating process would be quite powerful. Doing cover would be a fun thing to do. Doing remix would be a fun thing to do, and music is the most enjoyable process when you are part of the creating process. It's not like, hey, I close my door, I'm gonna write songs for myself, and I'm having a good time. It's about sharing, right? So we see that doing covers or doing remix during the previous years, you won't be able to actually be commercially part of it, but you would do this for fun. So it actually provides a lot of new opportunities for musicians and music producers to come together and to engage with their fans. But one thing that I think is worth mentioning is that when it comes to music product, whether it's for Web 3.0 or Web 2 communities, it's pretty much, they would say, oh, the first few products would be streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music. And I don't think right now we need to work on this together to create a much friendlier user interface and user design, because overall, it's still quite confusing for musicians and also music listeners to engage Web3 experiences. Well, we talked so many times about this. If the first step is that, hey, you have to connect your wallet, or hey, you're gonna buy some NFTs, it's quite confusing for the general public right now. And there are so many services coming to offer easier tool to engage with such product. But I think we have to work a little more on providing easier to access either a platform or a tool that it's easy to use, it's not confusing. People come here to listen to music, and if you wanted to engage with more activities like merchandising or concerts or fan engagements, there will be the easier way to do it. I think that's something that all of us will have to move forward with creating that's more helpful and easier to use product. But it does give it starts to give control back to artists, that will be able to see that they can talk to their fans directly, they can engage with their community more easily. These are the services that we're yet to provide in order to drive the economy for music field.
Yeah, appreciate all the insight there. I do want to switch gears just a little bit. I think, with the emergence of Web3, there's been a lot of discussion about distribution, record labels, and what's kind of the role of distribution. So I'd love to get your guys' take on, what maybe the future of this distribution, industry is in music, in this like new era of Web3 music. Do you think that record labels and distributors will still continue to be necessary? How do you guys kind of see all of this evolving? And how does this affect their role and their influence? Are there new opportunities where there doesn't need to be these traditional intermediaries? Would love to start off with Joe from Opulous.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my background is actually working at a distributor for 6 years, so I can talk quite well about the distribution landscape and the label landscape. And I think it would take a lot for especially the traditional labels to go away. And I don't think they need to for, Web3 music companies to thrive. I think the honest truth is it's such a big industry. There's so many parts to it. There's so many different moving vehicles, so many different types of music revenue streams, so many fans, obviously. So I think there's definitely a happy space where artists will still want to have their music available for everyone to listen on kind of traditional streaming platforms, in my opinion. I think it would take a lot for the Spotify's and so forth to go away. And part of that's just because it's all about access. And I think through Web3, it's all about ownership. And I think the two can still exist at the same time, as long as, you know, people have the access to listen to every song in the world. Spotify is going to, you know, be needed for that, and all the other DSPs as well. And as far as those DSPs are needed, you know, distribution companies will exist, labels will exist. Normally, like when artists are emerging and they're growing and they're trying to independently release music, they'll go for a distribution company. So labels tend to come involved a bit further in an artist's career when they see things, you know, picking up in a number of ways. So yeah, in my opinion, I think they will always exist, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing at all. I think what we're creating, especially at Opulous, is, you know, technology which thrives alongside the current ecosystem, as well as providing, you know, a lot more, you know, ownership and a lot more accessibility to people in this new space, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. One of the things I haven't touched on, which I love talking about, is just companies like Opulous are decentralizing the music industry. You know, 3 major label companies own 3/4 of the music in the world of all time, historically. That's a crazy stat. 3 companies basically run the whole industry globally. And through companies like Opulous, you know, individuals around the world will be able to rival these 3 big major label companies. And that, I think, is something really special. And it's one of the main reasons that I'm loving working at Opulous. And I've met a lot of the Opulous community, a lot of the people who invest in the songs and the music sales that we've done so far. And, you know, it's great to see people in the flesh talking about how much they're excited that they now own 1% of so-and-so's next song, and they're seeing rewards from it, you know, financially and through the things like perks that someone else was mentioning earlier. So, yeah, there's a long-winded answer, but I do care quite a lot about sort of the ability for all these things to work alongside each other, rather than, you know, a new technology coming along and somehow smashing Spotify out of the way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Definitely going to be an uphill battle, but one that, you know, if we were to win, could have some pretty insane, you know, downstream impacts. But yeah, would love to pass it over to Tommy and kind of get, you know, your perspective on, you know, the same issue. You know, how do you think about like this disintermediation of record labels, distributors? How do you think Web3 impacts these relationships?
Yeah, I think it was Billy, wasn't it? Is it Billy from Opulous? I think, you know, you make a great point about the fact that music industry is dominated by the major labels. I think it's 9 out of the last 10 music tracks that have been top 10 singles in the last 15 years have been on one of those majors, Universal, Warner's, or Sony. And if, you know, I think it's 0.7% are taking about 80% of all the streaming royalties. You can see where the money's going. The majors are making around about $3 million an hour out of streaming. And that's why, as I said before, that this industry is broken. This is a broken situation. We need to think very much about what we want as a community, as a race of people that love music, you know, that care about music passionately. We have music playing, you know, all the time, whether we like it or not. We're going to restaurants, we're going to bars, we're going to clubs, whatever. There's music playing. You know, how do we want to engage with that? How do we want to reward the people that sweat buckets for months, like myself, like the other artists in this space today? We sweat buckets making music. It takes ages. It takes investment. It takes time. It takes money. It takes a lot to just be a music artist. Who's going to pay for that? Someone has to pay for that. Someone has to support us. Otherwise, we're flipping burgers or driving Ubers. So someone has to do that. So how do we get a community of people that's used to getting music for free? Because that's the system that we live under now. How do we encourage people to pay for that music? We incentivize them. We make it worth their while to do it. Now, the labels the labels that are around there at the moment, the labels that are supposed to be looking after us, supposed to be supporting us, I think they're going to get a rude awakening, because I think, platforms like TokenTraxx and Opulous and other platforms are going to be looking to forge new ways for new artists to do things differently. And that's why it's going to take a little bit of time, because it's going to take time to seep down into the wider music industry. But we're very, very bullish on how this system works. We're creating a whole new music industry for a whole new swathe of artists. And if you look at it, if you come into this music world and you make music and you're getting some traction and you're getting a little bit of support on social media or whatever, and you're thinking about your options within the music industry, and your option is to retain all your rights, own everything you do, and still earn money and create a good engaged community that really cares about what you're doing, or sign everything away for perpetuity and don't have any creative control and don't have any say on what you spend, how much your product, your music is valued at. I think a lot of artists are going to be thinking twice about the idea of actually signing to a major label now. And so TokenTraxx, right now, if you want to be an international artist selling on an international stage, you have to sign to a major label. But for how long? How long is that system going to stay in place if there are other systems where artists can make just as much money, in fact, way more money, and have way more engagement with the people and fans that they care about? An artist, artists don't really care. As long as they've got some people that are loving what they're doing, whether it's 20 or whether it's 200,000 or 200 million, they don't really care. They just want people to like what they're doing. And actually, a lot of artists are going to be really content with having much smaller fan bases that are far more engaged and generating way, way more money. So you're going to see the whole landscape of how music is engaged with changing. We have worldwide international artists now. I believe that in the future, it's going to get much more cottagey. You're going to get much more local community artists that are, within the communities of where you actually live. So the likes of the international artists, the big international artists, that is a product of the system we have now. Just because Coldplay are big and Ed Sheeran are big all around the world and Taylor Swift is big all around the world doesn't mean that there aren't amazing artists on your back door that you would like to engage with just as much. So I think it questions whether the whole concept of how we engage with music, how we actually do things, and why we love the music we do. And I think also it comes into question what we're prepared to do for it as a society. Are you prepared to accept that music should be free? Or are you prepared to engage with some of the music that you love and support it in new ways? NFTs, Web3 in general, that is all concepts that revolve around taking back control, not just for the artists, but also for the fans. You've got artists like Violetta, very good friend of mine, Violetta, who has made over $1 million out of NFTs. But the really interesting statistic is not that she's made $1 million. Her fans have made over $500,000. Now, you tell me, I've been a fan of the Beatles, of the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, whatever, for 30 years. Have I ever made any money out of any of those artists? In the last year, I've made more money out of buying and selling Violetta NFTs than I ever have out of making money out of those artists. That is a new system. That is incredibly exciting and compelling and very, very, very infectious. We just got to get the message out there. It ain't going to happen overnight, but it will happen because it's a really obvious, compelling use case of how we love, how we make, and how we engage with music.
Yeah, infectious is only the start. I think, the points you make are incredibly infectious as well, Tommy. On this entire space, on this entire, kind of area within the Web3 space, we have to appreciate the insight there. Would love to pass it over to Ivan. From Wavv, and same thing, right? Like, how do you think about this maybe disintermediation between record labels, distributors? Do you think there will still be a need for traditional record labels and distributors, and how do you see kind of the landscape evolving?
Well, they're here for a reason, right? Decades ago, there's no internet, there's no social media, there's no smartphone, and their service actually helped artists greatly providing them a platform where their great music work can be heard. But now that we see the change of technology and the enhancement of community, we are more aware that we need to have more choices in hand. It's not necessarily that, as before, the A&R director from the record label would be able to decide pretty much everything, like, hey, I want you to be the top artist this year. Hey, I'm going to invest in you for the next 3 years. I'm going to promote you as the next Michael Jackson. Because things have been not necessarily transparent internally and externally. So as a matter of fact, it has become quite a personal choice for those small group of people. And as a music consumer, like, we listen to music based on what we were assigned to. Believe it or not, we listen to the same playlist over and over again. We listen to the same artists over and over again, the same songs. We pretty much open up a radio station, Spotify. There's this playlist called Today's Top Hits or US Top 50. These are the same playlists that we would listen to on every day, and look at how many music creators are out there and the current structure when it comes to like distribution and also publishers, distributors. We have looked into the structure for music industry right now. It's really complicated. It's making musicians really having this headache as to where to go, how to do, and when they will be able to actually focus on what they're good at, which is writing music. So just giving an example. So a few years ago, we were producing a concert based on a music composer, Yoko Shimomura, who wrote music for Street Fighter 2, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy 15, Mario RPG, so on and so forth. And because she's been scoring for so many different video games and also under all different video game developers like Nintendo, Capcom, Square Enix, and the concert was supposed to be in the US. So when I was talking to Yoko Shimomura, the composer, she was like, hey, actually, Ivan, so I don't have the right to make a decision that if you can perform my music in public. So first of all, I was like, okay, so who should I talk to? And she started to list like 25 firms that we're going to go through in order to clear the rights. And we were like, okay, fine, let's try to solve this one by one. And because this concert is going to be part of the anime expo, so we started to talk to Warner Chappell, who's in charge of the music asset of Square Enix in the US market. And we got this questionnaire, many questions like, what's the ticket price? How many people are you attending? What is the instrumentation? Is that arrangement or this is the original composition? And we answered all the questions, and we were waiting for approval for God knows how many weeks. And the thing is that it took us like 3 months just to go through one firm, and we have 24 more to go through. And at the end of the day, we decided not to charge, not to sell tickets, because we made this occasion as a non-commercial concert, because if we kept talking to like 25 firms, then there's no way that we'll be able to put this concert together in time. So if you look at the structure, not only it's not friendly for music creators, but it's also not necessarily friendly for the crowd who loves Yoko Shimomura's music for this case. So, well, I just think when you look into the scenario where how we choose music to listen to, how we follow music creators, record labels were traditional distributors play a big role. But we have to look into this in another way, because it's like in Hollywood, years ago, it's the blockbuster movies, it's the Steven Spielberg films, it's when it comes to music, it's John Williams that would be able to guarantee the box office. And we look how Instagram started to change that. There's this new term influencer that we're very much used to, and then TikTok started to empower content creators, independent content creators. You don't necessarily need to have this centralized tier 1 production skills or tools. You can pretty much share your daily life or content that you find yourself in, you find interesting, and you build different kinds of fan base based on the interest of your followers. So we started to see that as a content creator or as a musician, you don't need to be like top 10, right? But what's more important for music creators is that where can you find where people will be able to engage with your content, where people will be able to be part of your circle, and then again, this is the opportunity that we can look into, because what we all want to do is to empower artists and empower musicians, that they can do what they love, which is to engage with the society with beautiful and great music. So there's a lot to do, and there's a lot to be fixed. So we hope that this could be something that in the near future we could also provide to music creators and also music consumers.
Awesome. And just to wrap this one up, if we could, bring on Charles, and same thing. Would love your take on just this disintermediation between disintermediation between record labels and distributors, and how you think this kind of landscape has evolved after as the Web3 music landscape grows.
Yeah, sure. So I believe that the middleman, or like the record labels and the distributors, always have a role in this industry if they have some value added to this industry, right? So for example, like for record labels, they all have expertise and resource in finding the musicians, and also in producing music, right? That's if the NFTs or the Web3 solutions can provide the musicians with a better way of fundraising or production, probably they will be more independent, and the record labels may have less share of the revenue in this value chain, right? But still, I believe that record labels, they will be able to play certain role in this ecosystem, and continue to provide service and provide a value. And also, it's the same for the distributors, right? If the distributors want to continue playing a role in this industry, they really have to find a way to improve their efficiency, to lower the cost, to make more money for the musicians, and to help the musicians to maybe like generate a new channel of revenue, or new use cases, and or a better way to promote their music. Otherwise, probably they won't have the have an equal status as they were playing now, right? So I definitely believe that there will be more opportunities for the independent artists in the future, because with the help of new technologies, the independent artist will be able to utilize those new technology tools, and also community-based promotion and production and the distribution, and also like royalty collecting and the royalty distributions, right? So definitely they will be more independent, and they will get more resource to support their career, and they will have a better position in this industry. And in general, I believe that if anyone in this industry, including those middlemen, right, if we can continue provide value to this industry, and if we can make the industry like bigger, everyone will be a winner. There's not necessarily say one lose or one win. The point is like how can we reshape this industry and have a better ecosystem to benefit anyone. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, we our guests have been incredibly generous with their time. So, right before we wrap up, I do want to give everybody an opportunity to just give us a brief overview on your project's future roadmaps, any upcoming exciting updates, and just a look into, what you guys are working on and how we can support. So I guess we can start off with Joe from Opulous.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I think just one of the key things I'd like to finish on is just highlighting the impact of everyone and the communities. I know it's something that's been talked about a lot tonight, but genuinely without the communities, then all of these companies and all of the artists trying to do things in this space, would be no one, and it's impossible to achieve anything. So thanks to everyone who's diving into this space and joining communities and even listening to this AMA. I think it's really, really important, and I've learned a lot from everyone else talking today. So yeah, great to be involved, and definitely do check us out at Opulous app is our socials, Opulous app. And then you can check out our website, which really does explain a lot, which is opulous.org. Opulous is spelled OPULOUS.org. On our website, which you can find through all of our social media channels, you can see a list of the upcoming artists that are doing MFT campaigns with us, MFT sales. So these are artists that you can invest in through Opulous, and you can see some of our past sales as well. Also check out our Telegram group, which gets regular updates, and we've got tens of thousands of people in there. And yeah, any other questions, feel free to hit us up through Twitter or any of the other social media channels.
Would love to pass it over to Tommy from TokenTraxx, and same thing. You've been so kind and giving us so much alpha and your thoughts into the where this industry is going. Any would love to get an insight into TokenTraxx's roadmap, any exciting updates you guys have, and what you guys are working on.
Yeah, thank you. Also echo the thoughts there. Thanks so much for hosting this space. I think, a lot of people are really sleeping on music in Web3 in general, not just NFTs, but music in metaverse, AI, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of opportunities here. If you're interested in finding out more, there's a resource that I have in my Twitter profile. It's a Koji link, and there's an NFT resource about loads of information in this space. I am the longest running music NFT Twitter space. Have been running it since October 21. The longest running regular one, I want to say, every Monday at 6 p.m. UK time. For anybody that wants to come and join, we get the great, everybody in music NFTs are great and the good come in there, and we talk about music and NFTs. So please come and join us in there. Regarding TokenTraxx, we have so much much going on. You know, we're working with every single different major label. We're working with loads of incredible artists. We're working with charities. We've got a whole bunch of stuff coming up with venues as well, ticketing, you name it. We are looking at many different areas around this. We have a ton of different drops going on. We have Get Minted on the marketplace itself, which is basically an opportunity for anybody who hasn't done NFTs to come on. We hold your hand, we look after you, we tell you all about it. We do NFTs on either Ethereum, Polygon, or Zilliqa. And as a consequence, if it's like you want to just do a nice super cheap NFT through Polygon, we have credit card, Apple Pay, Google Pay integration. We have custodial and non-custodial wallets. So it makes it super easy for people to engage with and to bring on newbies into this space. I help them, my team helps them with how to sell stuff, but we also have a massive amount of incredible concepts around this. What I really excited about this space was the creative opportunities for Web3. I'm a creative person myself. I see so many interesting ideas around the creative aspects of Web3 using things like obviously scarcity, rarity, traits, all kinds of interesting stuff like that. Obviously membership stuff, all that kind of thing. This is where we're at with Web3. It is very, very exciting space, and TokenTraxx is right at the center of doing that. Majority of our stuff is taken up with rolling out marketplaces, track studios as we call them. We have about 40 in development and loads more in discussion. Everybody from NFT artists all the way through to, as I said, big companies, big labels. And the idea is to create your own space, your own place, your own home for your tokenized engagement. That's how we believe things should be. And that's why we are putting everything, all our efforts into Track Studio. Track Studio is absolutely flying. If you're interested in more information about any of these things, please just DM me or DM TokenTraxx, TokenTraxx on Twitter. We also have contact@tokentraxx.com as the email. You can go to tokentraxx.com as the website and go and check out what we're doing. Loads of great drops. Support the artists. Support the artists, go and buy music NFTs and become a fan of the music NFT. And if you're a music NFT artist, do not sleep on looking after your community. Make sure that you are engaged with your community left, right, and center. If you want to come on my space and promote your project, please just DM me. No problem at all. I have absolutely no problem. We have everybody that comes through that space. So once again, I want to say thank you so much for hosting this space today. It's been really, really great fun. Good luck to all the other amazing projects in this space that have shared their time as well. We're all in this together. We all help each other. As I say, a rising tide lifts all boats. So we're all in this together. There is no competition. We help each other out. Anything that I can do and my team at TokenTraxx can do to help partner with your projects and lift them up in any way we possibly can, more than happy to have that conversation.
Well, yeah, appreciate all the insight and definitely give Tom a follow, give TokenTraxx a follow. Really great stuff they have going on over there. Would love to pass it over to Ivan from Wavv, and same thing. Would love to hear just a brief roadmap, what you guys are working on, any exciting updates.
Hey, so looking at the new opportunities for Web3 and also what's been going on for Web2, Web1, Web0, whatever that is, I think both fields do have some problems to solve. Web2, we've been talking about pretty much the same thing. It's the complicated structure and unfriendly environment for artists. But Web3, that's something that we really need to look into, which is there's a lot of confusions going on here for music creators. And even though we're looking at some great opportunities ahead, we don't know what's going on, right? That's why we're trying to create quite a bunch of services and tools. But let's not forget about the UI, the user experience for the services that we're going to provide. And especially now, AI is coming in really hot. I'm speaking here from San Francisco, and we've been through around almost 1,000 events during the past 2 weeks for pretty much AI-driven event. Generative AI is a hot topic right now, and this music GPT thing is gonna roll out very soon. And there will be another questions we ask. If AI-driven music is here, who owns the the music, who owns the asset, and also is there a duplicate if this AI-driven music composed by machine is pretty much the same as the currently existing songs? These are all the potential problems that we have to solve in the future. So, well, I think going forward, as a founder, we are going to look at things in a positive way. But in the meantime, we also wanted to look at what's there practically, what we're going to solve, and I'm going to leave more space for our artists to talk about future of music. But I do think here we're at a crossroad looking at technology of AI, technology of blockchain, and what we want to do is to provide a better space. But there are so many things that we have to work on. But here we have to stay positive and do this together.
Awesome. Yeah, would love to pass it off to Charles from Euterpe, and same thing, give us a just a brief idea of like the future roadmap, any exciting updates that you guys have.
Yeah, thank you for hosting this MA session, and I'm really happy to share the insights with all the panelists and also the community members. And we are actually recently launched our certified features, so the users can now earn tokens by streaming music and sharing music on our platforms. And we actually have already uploaded several pop music by Chinese musicians, and many of them are actually the top tier pop music creators in the Chinese community. And we are also entering the market of Korea. We just signed agreement with top 5 Korean entertainment group, and we are onboarding more K-pop and also Korean drama in our platform. And we are also working with Hollywood movie studios to explore how to combine the movie and the film IPs with NFTs to allow the users, the fans, to be part of the production process of movie and the films. So we are definitely committed to provide better and more contents for our community members. And please join our Discord and also our Telegram groups, and also please follow our Twitter to follow up with our recent developments and also the future activities. We definitely have a lot of activities and rewards waiting for the community members. Thank you again for everyone's time. It is a wonderful night for me. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you again for taking the time to join us, and then would love to wrap it up with just some perspectives from our artists. So if we could get Jessica, same thing, if you could just give us a little bit of some of the things you're working on, exciting updates, things for us to keep an eye on.
Yeah, for sure. So currently, I'm definitely just working on writing new music and hopefully putting out new music soon, potentially creating some music videos to go with my songs. Whenever I release music, I'm planning on kind of doing the same thing. I'm excited to continue working with Wavv and also releasing it on various streaming platforms. Definitely looking forward to seeing how my journey as an artist can progress, and if anybody wants to reach out about potentially collaborating, I'd be super happy to discuss that. I'm very recently joined Twitter, but you can find my link tree in my bio. It has like my Instagram in it. That's usually where I'm more active about communicating about collaborations, but definitely going to try to be more active on Twitter. And I'm really excited to see the future of Web3 technologies as well, and very excited to continue to work with Wavv for this. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. We keep an eye on what are you kind of working on right now, and how can we support?
So, essentially, first and foremost, I appreciate the opportunity to provide my 2 cents on the matter here. I will be working on my catalog here in Los Angeles, in collaboration with Wavv and other artists in this community. Pretty much, I'm looking to establish relationships with recording studios here in the area, music supervisors. I would like to collaborate with the industry in a form of, game, film, and TV sync placement. So pretty much I'll be, working on that type of material, bolstering my catalog. That's pretty much it,
Awesome. And yeah, would love to wrap it up with Mure. Same thing, what are you kind of working on? How can we support? Any upcoming exciting updates?
Thank you. My next upcoming things are mostly releases and a Californian tour in the end of the year. Like we're moving from Spain to there because we think it's easier for our music format to do the job there. But we are partly releasing, like we have almost 25 demos. So the plan is to get any record label or chance to monetize it or to move our music everywhere. But also with my solo projects, I would like to continue exploring Web3 and keep releasing conceptual albums in NFT form. So this is, I think, is going to be my future plan. And once again, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you again to all of our guests for taking the time to join us. This has been another Off the Chain Spaces hosted by Meta Era, and special thanks to Bitmart. Special thanks to the Leo Wang and the Hibiki team for helping us host this today and bringing together all these incredible guests. Thank you to all of our guests. Once again, we had Joe Mason, who is the head of artist services at Opulous. We had Marcus, who is the COO at LimeWire. We had Snarky from Itoka. We had Tommy D, Chief Creative Officer at TokenTraxx. Ivan Linn, the CEO at Wavv. Charles Cheng, the co-founder of Euterpe. We had Leo Wang, again from Hibiki Run. We had Billy Coleman, an artist from Wavv. We had Mure, another artist at Wavv, and Jessica Meng, another artist from Wavv. So we got a lot of really interesting perspectives from all areas of the kind of Web3 music industry, everything from artists to executives to platinum award winning artists. So I think we had an incredible conversation today about where the future of Web3 and the music industry is going. And lastly, would love to thank our audience for joining us today. I hope you guys pulled a lot out of this incredible conversation. And thank you guys again, and we will see you guys next time.